Sorry, B needed something, and so I had to turn my camera off. I left off. Oh, yeah, he was trying to think of a name for the dragon. To his surprise, the dragon answered him. The answer did not come in words, it came as a feeling of not knowing that reminded Jeremy of the blank sensation he got whenever Mr. Siegel called on him in math. He turned his head and looked at the dragon out of the corner of his eyes. It yawned, opening its mouth so wide that Jeremy could no longer see the jewel-like eyes. Jeremy laughed. It never occurred to him that a dragon could be cute, but this one certainly was. At least it was now. He wasn't sure what it would be like when it got bigger. Maybe being small made things cute. I suppose that's true, he said out loud, thinking of the women who were always coming up to pinch him on the cheek and telling him how cute he was, as if being cute were something wonderful. Personally, he didn't like being cute and being small. At least you'll grow out of it, he said to the dragon. He thought about that for a second. The dragon might stop being cute fast once it started to grow. The idea was frightening. Just how big was this thing going to get? Other than mentioning that it could be large enough to eat the family pets, the care and feeding sheet wasn't very specific about growth. Nothing it said indicated the upper limit of the dragon's size. Would it get to be as big as a car? A bus? A house? It was time to do some research. Since Jeremy's bike was broken, he had to go to the library on foot. The head librarian was just taking down the close sign when he arrived, puffing with exhaustion from having run all the way. She took one look at him and said, "Overdue homework, Jeremy?" He shook his head. I need to find out some stuff, he gasped. It's wonderful to see someone so hungry for knowledge, she replied, sounding as if she didn't quite believe him. Jeremy gave her a fake smile and headed for the back of the library. His smile became real when he saw the long-haired children's librarian. She was sitting at her desk, staring at a book with a look of fierce concentration. The sign in front of her said, Miss Hyacinth Priest. Now that's who that is, the librarian. Jeremy crossed the room quietly and stood by Miss Priest's desk. After a moment, she looked up. Good morning, Jeremy, she said. Her voice had a hint of music to it, and he always liked to hear her talk. Have you come for some more art books? He shook his head. New topic today. I need to find out about dragons. Miss Priest looked at him carefully. Fascinating creatures, she said at last. Let's see what we can dig up. She stood, towering over Jeremy, and led him past rows of books until they came to the section she was looking for. She bent forward to scan the shelves, causing the blue beads of her long dangling earrings to brush the sides of her face. Aha, she said, reaching out to snatch up a thin volume. I thought you might be hiding here. Here she is pulling that book off the shelf, and Jeremy's in the background. Without looking up, she handed the book to Jeremy. Now, where's your friend? She muttered. Spess doesn't do libraries, said Jeremy, before he realized she'd been talking to the book. Suddenly her hand darted forward again. Here we go, she said triumphantly. She handed Jeremy a medium-sized book. A wonderful red dragon reared across the green cover, its claws outstretched, a shaft of flame rocketing from its mouth. Jeremy wished desperately that he could draw like that. 10 minutes later, Jeremy was sitting at a long wooden table with a thick stack of books beside him. He opened the first and started looking for something, anything, that would tell him what to do with the dragon. He had no idea how long he'd been reading when his concentration was interrupted by a pain of hunger shooting through his stomach. He closed the book and rubbed his belly. How long has it been since I ate? Glancing at the clock on the wall, he was surprised to see it was only 10:15. He decided to read a little longer. He was enjoying the books, even if they didn't provide much useful information. The only problem was that in almost every story, the dragon got killed at the end. Usually with good reason, since most of them were extremely nasty. About the only good dragons he found were Chinese. He wondered if dragons were really that terrible, or if people just said bad things about them because they looked so scary. More to the point, what was his dragon going to be like? Opening the green book, Jeremy found a story about a dragon named Nidhogg. He wrote the name on his notepad. The list of possible dragon names was about the only real stuff he'd gotten so far. He'd barely finished writing Nidhogg when the next hunger pain hit. His stomach began to rumble threateningly. Gathering the books he wanted to check out, he took them to Miss Priest. "Did you find what you were looking for?" she asked. "Not everything," he admitted. Hyacinth Priest paused and leaned toward him and said softly, "Just exactly what are you looking for?" Jeremy swallowed. "This is going to sound silly," he began. Before he could finish, his stomach began making a noise like an erupting volcano. Miss Priest nodded. "Very silly," she said seriously. Jeremy blushed. "I mean, my question will sound silly." The librarian looked directly into his eyes. "No question is silly if you really want to know the answer," she said fiercely. "Okay," said Jeremy. "Then what I want to know is, do you have anything on how to raise a dragon?" Miss Priest smiled. "Of course," she said softly. Chapter 5, Things Unseen. I can't imagine she has a book about how to raise a dragon, but it's cool that she's got one. Maybe Jeremy will get some answers. I don't like the name Nidhogg. Somehow that doesn't sound like Jeremy's little baby dragon. What would you name it? To be seen.